Hey everyone, my daughter's bus is running a bit late. I have a couple extra minutes and I've been wanting to record a video answering a common question that comes up from procurement professionals around contract compliance audits. Before I jump in on that, I do want to call out, I'm wearing a FC Pristina jersey today. About, 3-4 weeks ago, Audit Tech Solutions opened up our first European office in Pristina, Kosovo. So I'm not a big soccer or football fan, but I think I'm going to get into it. I wanted to thank the team, Gentrit and the rest of them for sending this over. But to jump into the topic I wanted to discuss today, it's not uncommon as we're discussing the idea of doing a contract compliance audit for a procurement contact to ask me, when is the best timing to perform this work, right? And they mean this in the context of generally RFP. Do we perform this prior to an RFP? Do we perform it in the middle of an RFP as kind of, part of that process, part of the proposal process? Or do we do it after an RFP is the relationship's been awarded and we know that the vendor's going to be there for the long term? Obviously, I think there's value in all three stages, but I don't want to cop out on that. And I want to actually make a decision on what I think the best timing is. And that's, I think it's at the beginning, prior to an RFP taking place. As I've thought about this, there's two big benefits, at macro level that come from doing a contract compliance recovery audit, right? The first one is obvious. You're going to potentially identify and recover dollars, bring them back to your organization. Easy to measure. It's tangible. That's the easy one. The second one, and again, I say this in a lot of my videos, is the most important one, which is to close the issues. So if we identify an issue, we identify 3 or 4 issues, we're able to get to the root cause of why that is occurring, and then we're able to close the gaps so it doesn't happen moving forward. So that's always going to be the case, whether you do a contract compliance before, during, or after an RFP. The third macro benefit that only comes if you're doing it prior to an RFP is a more intelligent, knowledgeable proposal process. So if you do a contract compliance audit prior to a RFP or proposal being issued, it puts you in a position to understand how the billing mechanisms work in this space. If you're dealing with let's say a facilities maintenance suppliers, construction suppliers, you're going to have labor, you're going to have materials, you're going to have fees, you're going to have rentals. What do the mechanisms look like? How is at least, one of your vendors or suppliers, how are they understanding the expectations in the contract? Are they understanding them correctly? Are they having questions around those things? Now, when you go into your proposal process and you issue your RFP, you're in a much better spot to make sure that everyone's on the same playing field, right? To use my soccer metaphor further, right? That everyone's on the same field, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen it where work is awarded to a supplier, a contractor, a vendor who has the best rate. And then we find out later that the reason they had the best rate is because they had different contractual interpretations of what the billing mechanism would be. If you're supposed to bill, if we have 3 suppliers bidding, one bids cost plus 10%, one bids cost plus 12%, one bids cost plus 14%, and we make the decision based on price, we go with the 10%. But if that supplier interprets cost to be direct cost plus overhead or plus administration, and the others don't, that 10% could be significantly more expensive than the 12 or 14% the other suppliers are bidding. By going through a contract compliance audit of that category of those vendors, a procurement contact is in a much better position to not only make sure the right contractual language is in there in the proposal process, but to either one-on-one or in a group of all the suppliers that are bidding on the work to be able to make it very clear, hey, this is what we expect when we say cost. And I need an affirmative acknowledgement that you understand that and that your bid is based on that. So, I'm a big fan of the concept that the more you know, the more you know. By performing a contract compliance audit prior to an RFP, you are getting additional data points, and you're getting valuable additional data points to make sure that you're not just negotiating the best deal for your organization, but that you're negotiating a good deal that's actually going to be followed. A good deal that you're actually going to have compliance with. So hope y'all are having a great Thursday. Again, very excited about the new Audit Kosovo office, and I'll try to get back to do these videos a little bit more. Been listening to a podcast talking about answering potential questions, and I'm gonna jump back on it. So thanks everyone. Bye.